present.
welcome everybody. I have no idea how many people are here. I just want to say this is where you are in the spirituality of beekeeping. And there's been a lot of learning going on. So this will be more visual than heavy language. And when you come to this, and since we're on Zoom, I don't know if you're coming because you're interested in spirituality or if you're more interested in beekeeping. So I'm going to stop my share for a second. And if it's possible to see the gallery view. Hi. I just want to thank people who have their cameras on. I'm very appreciative so I can see who's here. I want to start with a story and then I'll show you some more pictures. So back in 2009, I had just graduated from rabbinical school at Hebrew College, and my husband Andy and I decided to go to New York City, and we were on the Amtrak. And he's a great planner and a curious soul, and he brought along a few red envelopes. Do you remember those red envelopes from Netflix? And he chose a documentary that we should watch. And so we put the disc into his computer and we connected our headphones also into his computer. And he had brought a documentary for me to watch about bees. And it was all about bees, and it was about beekeepers and the bees' vital role on the planet and the sweetness they offer the world, and also about all the chemicals in the world that were killing the bees. And I thought, what is going on? And I love a good paradigm shift, and I love a steep learning curve. And so after 6 years of studying in the Beit Midrash for rabbinical school, I decided I would learn about something outside. And I read everything I could about honeybees. So now I'm going to try to share my screen again, because this is the part that I'm not really good at. Okay, so here I am. I became a beekeeper. That's a really long time ago. If you look closely at the picture, my hair is still brown. That's how we know it's a long time ago.
Wait, we can't see that picture.
Can you see that?
We just see the first slide so far.
You're not in the second one? I see the second one?
I don't see the second one. I'm sorry.
Really?
Does anyone else see the second one?
I also see the first one.
Okay,
Only the first. Hey, Suzanne, another option is if you want to email the presentation.
I don't know how to do that. Hold on. It says I'm screen sharing and it shows. Let me try again. Sorry.
No worries. I am going to put my email in a direct message in the chat for you.
How about that? Can you see that?
We do that.
I see it.
Okay. So there I am. When I was a new beekeeper. And can you see that?
Yes, Wendell
Okay. So I'm going to read this and you can follow along because I love Wendell Berry and he's a poet about the outside. The world cannot be discovered by a journey of miles, no matter how long, but only by a spiritual journey, a journey of 1 inch, very arduous and humbling and joyful, by which we arrive at the ground at our feet and learn to be at home. So by June of 2010, I was the proud owner of 2 beehives, nestled happily in my backyard in Newton, and I loved them. I would rush home from work every day and just sit in front of my bees and watch the, hive of activity, and I couldn't get enough. And I was watching and wondering, where are they going? How do they know what's going on inside? What could they see? What's this queen bee thing? And so I didn't start keeping bees as a spiritual practice, but beekeeping became a spiritual practice for me. First of all, it requires deep meditation. Loving my bees, as you can see, requires attention and observation, open-heartedness, and a willingness to learn. And you have to be focused, and you have to be in the moment. Okay, people send me all sorts of bee things, and it's very popular. So here's a little hive of activity. The first lesson of a spiritual practice is to notice, to pay attention. In Hebrew, to say pay attention, we say simu lev, to put your heart there. Attention means using all of your senses, seeing, listening, touching, tasting, and smelling. So connecting with bees helps me connect my inner self to the outer world. Wait a minute. I'm gonna stop sharing here. Sorry. So this is the worst part, is I'm trying to share my screen, and this is the one I want, I think. No, sorry. Can you see that one?
No, you're not. If it's easier, I'm happy to do the screen share. I know that'll take a teeny bit of an extra second for you to send it to me, but happy to help with that if you'd like.
I don't know how to send it to you.
You could just put it as an attachment in an email.
The whole PowerPoint?
Yep, if it's it should still send. Particularly if you've got a, Gmail, it'll just make it a Google thing. But if you just want to try one more time, that also works.
Hold on. So, let me just see.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
You see that one?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, here we are. Got it. So, I now have 10 hives. These are 5 of them. And I just want to continue, talking a little bit about the spirituality of beekeeping and why I love it so much. Each hive, when it's 3 high, is 60,000 bees. And part of the spirituality of beekeeping is the spirituality of getting stung. So I don't always protect myself the way I did at the beginning. And the sting is very interesting because it's going to happen. And then you just kind of notice that bee stings feel differently on different parts of your body, and they feel differently even on different parts of your face, just saying. And I don't recommend it to everybody. I will say I've often gotten stung also by wasps, and they actually don't hurt quite as much. So bees, when they sting you, it's kind of a mutual destruction thing, because when a honeybee stings you, her stinger is in her belly. And so she only stings if she feels that her home is threatened or her life is threatened. Whereas something like a wasp is a carnivore, so they sting over and over again. So this is 5 hives. So part of my love of bees is wanting to feed them and giving them all the food that they like. So this is one of my honeybees in my blueberry. I have a blueberry field, and these are blueberry blossoms, and there she is. She's collecting nectar and pollen. And here's another one of my girls, And this is after the berry is ripe. She goes in there and she's in a drunken stupor because she's so happy, right? So bees not only have to eat, but like most animals, they have to drink. And so they drink water, but she's also drinking the juice of this very ripe blueberry. Really, the reason I do this presentation is because I just like to share my pictures. Now, I also really like to follow bumblebees. Bumblebees are really hard workers. Bumblebees wake up in the morning earlier than honeybees, and they go to bed later than honeybees. And I know this is because I've been watching them. And they will go when it's windy, and they'll go if it's drizzling. Honeybees, it has to be over 55 degrees. They don't like it too windy. They want to make sure that the temperature and it's just right. But bumblebees, they're hard workers. So I plant a lot of sunflowers, and because honeybees love sunflowers. And if you think of a giant sunflower, and every seed on a sunflower has to be pollinated. It has to be pollinated for you to have a sunflower. So no honeybees, not a lot of food. I also planted a lot of dahlias. This is a dahlia, and my honeybees love dahlias. Okay, so this is a honeybee on the sandy beach of a lake, and I didn't know what was going on here, so I sent it to this really wonderful bee researcher, and he told me that the bee drinks the water in between the grains of sand because it's too dangerous. They can't go in the lake, they'll be washed away. And they also collect mold spores from in between the sand, and they take the mold back, and it works like an antibiotic in the hive. Isn't that amazing? Okay. So this is a bumblebee, and you can see her at work, and you can see how she's working so hard, and also you can see the pollen on her back legs that she's going to take back to hers. Now, a bumblebee doesn't live in a hive, in a colony like a honeybee, but it does live with her family, and she has to feed her family. There's another honeybee. I just like taking pictures of honeybees, as you can see. Okay, this is a swarm. I don't want anyone to panic. Don't make any faces. I want to explain exactly what's going on here. This is a swarm. Susie Jacobson's laughing at me. I'm going to explain a little about beekeeping now. Okay, so in a hive, there's a queen, right? And there's about 6 to 8 males, and then could be tens of thousands of other girls. And the girls have a lot of jobs. They could work in the nursery. They could clean up. The bees are very clean. They don't want any dead bodies in there. They could be standing guard at the landing pad at the beginning. So there's a lot of bees with a lot of jobs. The honeybees that you see, even this little one at the bottom trying to catch up, they're forager bees. They're smaller, and they're the ones who go out and find the pollen and the water and the nectar and everything. And when everything is working well and the queen has created a very healthy hive, it gets too crowded, and they don't get competitive. They don't beat each other up because they've run out of space. The hive actually makes a new queen, and the queen, they somehow determine who's staying with the old queen, and then half the hive goes with the new queen. And they leave the hive all together, and they go to the nearest place that looks safe. So this was about a couple yards from the beehive, and they're hanging out there. And then a couple other foraging bees will go out and find a new home. Well, they will all go. So a swarming hive is a healthy hive. And sometimes if you see a hive like this, a swarm like this, please, please, please do not spray it. Don't freak out. Just smile and marvel and say, this is totally amazing. It comes from a healthy hive. And sometimes if I can catch it in time, we find the queen, we shake the branch into another box, and I just give them a new home in my existing hives if I have an empty box. It's really, really amazing. You should be count yourself very lucky that you get to see this very happy, healthy hive. It's a very big deal. I will tell you one more thing about the hive. So as I said, it could have like 60,000 girls and the queen, and there are 6 to 8 boys in the hive. And the boys, they're called drones, they impregnate the queen. That's their entire job, just impregnate the queen. And then she has thousands and thousands and thousands of babies. Well, come September, October, when the days are getting shorter and cooler, the guys, the drones, are hanging out in the hive and they start eating all the honey. Well, the girls are not happy. They're thinking, this honey has to last us the entire winter, and these boys are eating all the honey. So they chase the boys out of the hive and onto the landing strip. They try to push the boys off the landing strip. The boys don't want to go because they have nowhere to go and they have no skills at all. There's no patriarchy in the hive. So what do the girls do? They rip the boys limb from limb to keep them out of the hive all winter long. It's truly remarkable. I just want to say, bees are amazing and I love them. And part of the spirituality is just learning, learning, learning. Okay. So sometimes there's good things and sometimes there's sad things. This is a sad thing. This is a bear attack on my hives. The bears just rip it apart, just rip it apart. Now, I know you're thinking of Winnie the Pooh and how much bees love honey. I think bees love honey, but this happens to my hives a lot in the spring. Well, I got an electric bee fence and everything, so it shouldn't happen as much. But what bears really want from my hives are the larvae, the brood, the babies, because that's the protein that the bear needs. They just woke up from the winter and there's not a lot for them to eat. And if they can break into hives, they're very happy. So that's what happens when they break into the hives. It's very sad. And when this happens, I go into mourning for about 3 weeks. I get very sad. So we're just going to keep going. This is my favorite Mary Oliver quote. Because in my work, because I'm a rabbi, I'm a hospital chaplain, and I work with families who have lost loved ones to suicide. And so when people ask me what I do, I like my response to be Mary Oliver's language, which is my work is loving the world. My work is to love people and things. Susie, I think you would probably say the same thing. Yes. So part of my work of loving the world and part of the spiritual practice of loving my bees was taking the next step. And the next step is learning to fight the cultural construct of being afraid of little small things. So for instance, here's a pollinator. Here's another pollinator. We love these pollinators. We love butterflies, right? Who's afraid of a butterfly? But there are many other things that have important jobs on the planet, and we have to love them too. Like this spider. Look how big she is. She's bigger than a quarter. Now, I know you're making faces. I actually used to have a spider phobia, but I fought it. Now, granted, it's good to see these things outside. I wouldn't want it in my house. I wouldn't want to turn back the linens at night and see it in my bed. I admit that. But really, if it's outside, it's really fun to see. And look at her. Isn't she amazing? It gets better. If you have spider phobia, just, you know what they say? When you're watching the IMAX, close your eyes and the feeling will subside. I say double down and watch these spiders. So this is another spider. She got this fly. She's amazing, isn't she? Look at her making dinner for her whole family. Oh, this is one of my favorite pictures just because the colors. A pink and white spider. And I love bumblebees, so this made me a little sad, but I was just so impressed with my iPhone. So I think it's a really beautiful picture. And this teaching on Shavuot enables me to share my pictures with you. So, how about this caterpillar? Isn't that amazing? Come on. If any of you are watching on your iPhone, I'm really sorry. If you're on a big screen, it's that much better. This is beautiful, and you only see this if you really crawl into plants, and it's worth it. It's really worth it. This guy I don't like so much. It's a tomato caterpillar, and it'll eat your entire tomato plant. And I don't necessarily kill them. I give them to my chickens. Although I just want to shout out to my friend Carmen, who was visiting with me last year. She's on this, and they're so big and I couldn't kill it. But Carmen, being from Dallas, she had what it takes and she killed it. I was saving my tomato plants. Look how cute that little frog is. See, we need to, the world is a very scary place now. There's a lot of cruelty. There's a lot of idiocy. And for me, just returning to the earth and its beauty and its glory and appreciating it just makes my heart beat a little better. You know, that's amazing. These little guys are very cute. They come out after the rain. So another one of my favorite Wendell berries, which I can't really see because all my screen is in the way. Susie, can you see the whole poem or is it in the way?
I can see it.
Can you read it for me, please?
Yeah, I love this poem.
Yeah.
When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
Thank you, Susie. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. So, with all this walking around and noticing and wandering, I developed a new obsession, mushrooms. Again, I love a paradigm shift. I love a steep learning curve. And to suffice it to say, I love another reason to start taking pictures. And not for today, but just so you know that a mushroom is not an animal, a vegetable, or a mineral. It's completely different. So exciting. This is one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. It's very small, you can't see. It's just moss and these two really, really, really poisonous mushrooms that happen to remind me of when Dorothy's house fell on the Wicked Witch of the East. Susie, you're nodding. Anyway, so I like to take pictures of mushrooms too. Really fun. So I also have chickens. Here I am with one of my chickens. This is a couple years ago. That's Pam. Pam has a lot of personality. One of the things I learned about chickens, which I think is true about any sentient being, is that if you have a being that has enough food and lives in safety and enough room to move around, that person can, or being or chicken can become its fullest self. And isn't that what we want? And so chickens actually have personalities. We can talk about that at another time. So one time the chicken brought a friend home for lunch, and there they are. They're having a lovely time together. So with this picture, because it really is a great one, I just want to connect all this sense of starting with one small bee and paying attention and noticing and moving slowly and breathing and learning and growing. And then you pay attention to something else and you learn something else and you're going to breathe better. Do you know why you're supposed to talk to your plants? Susie, do you know why you're supposed to talk to your plants?
Because they'll grow better.
And do you know why they grow better? Because when you talk or sing, you're exhaling carbon dioxide, and that's what plants eat. So you're feeding your plants, and then they're giving you oxygen. So it's a symbiotic relationship. I wish my bees would love me as much as I love them, but they're really just wild animals. So we are very connected to the planet. We're very connected to everything that's going on. And I want everyone to just stop and take a breath, titrate the news, listen to things that speak to your soul. And I know I was very mindful of time. I want to make sure we have time for questions. But because it's Shavuot, right, it's this Jewish festival of remembering that God gave us Torah. It's our job to receive Torah. God gives Torah, but we have to receive Torah. We have to work hard to receive Torah, but that's available to us at any time. So here's a little bit of my Torah. I want all of us to remember that we are Jews, right? Judaism comes from Judah, right? Leah, Jacob's wife, fourth son, she finally was full of gratitude. Judah, right? Hodiah, we are the people of gratitude. We have the practice in our tradition of waking up every day and being thankful for another day. And we're thankful for the gift of our wondrous body. And we're thankful for the gift of our soul and our breath every day, every day. And when you start each day with gratitude, you fill your heart with love and joy. And we even have Psalms, right? If you know any Psalms, we lift our eyes up to the mountains. The Psalms, is it 148? We are thankful for snow and plants and animals. We are the people of gratitude, and the spiritual practice is available to us all the time of stopping and noticing and listening and breathing at all the beauty around us. And when we have our practice of saying blessings before we eat, we look at what we're eating, we think about what this is, and say the corresponding blessing. We even have blessings of gratitude for seeing a rainbow or seeing an ocean if we haven't seen an ocean in a long time. Or we have blessings of gratitude for seeing an old friend, and we have a blessing of gratitude for a new piece of clothing. So I think that our tradition teaches us to focus on the particular, to notice and appreciate. And bees, for me, were just another pathway for noticing and appreciating. So notice, be aware, wonder, be curious, and then find joy and delight and exuberance. So I'm going to stop my sharing, and I'm going to open to any questions that you might have. It could be about bees. It could be about Jewish spiritual practices. It could be about anything you want. or I can just marvel that I thought this would take an hour and it only took a half an hour.
Yeah, I thought, oh, sorry, were we supposed to raise our hands first?
You can just start talking.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for that. Was really lovely and just very like, there have been some sort of intensive sessions and this was very gentle. I feel like this was a good, like almost like a bee softly landing on a flower. But you said that, it's a little sad the bees don't love you back. And the thought that I wanted to offer is they can't love you back like people, but do they trust you? Do they recognize you? Do they stay in the boxes at your home? I mean, we have pets that love us back, but the way your dog loves you back or the way a chicken loves you back isn't the same as the bees, but it doesn't make it not a manifestation or of love or not a manifestation of creation loving you back. I just wanted to offer that
So,
thought.
Jesse, I love that. And I'm going to hold on to that, even though it's not true. They stay in the boxes because that's where the queen bee is. They don't love me. In fact, sometimes I find one of my girls in the lake and I pick her up because I don't want her to drown. And then she stings me. So I don't think they really love me back, but it's okay because I still, sometimes people say, oh, you make your own honey. It's like, no, I don't make honey. The bees make honey, and sometimes I steal it. So maybe I take less than 10% of what they make, and I only take honey if the hive doesn't overwinter. But maybe I'll just translate that love into honey. How about that? Wait, Ben Langton, you have a question. Rabbi Ben Langton, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Rabbi Suzanne Offit. No, I have really two kavanot. First thing, just to the Rabbi, three things. One is you just gave me a whole new kavanah for that line in Hallel about Dvorim, right? The bees are surrounding you. 60,000 bees are surrounding you.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, I was recently studying last Shabbos. We started the end of Pirkei Avot, and the Ohevet HaMakom, Ohevet HaBriot is one of the two of the 48 ways you get Torah, and this is a very specific way that you obviously Ohevet HaBriot.
I love living things. Yes, I love
Right.
living things.
But the last part was as a reverse kavanah, or going back a few hours, in terms of the midrash, that at the moment of Matan Torah, all creation paused. I found this whole presentation is a wonderful detailing of all the things that pause: frogs, spiders, bees, deer, chickens. At that moment, everything around the whole world was standing silently in awe for Aseret HaDibrot. So,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Man, I think you really elevated what I said in a very kind and generous way. So thank you for that. Everything stands still. Humans are the ones, well, I'll speak about myself. Standing still is often the hardest thing for me. So being with my bees or flowers or whatever helps me stand still and be more of a human being than a human doing. But thanks, Ben. Did I see another question?
Yep. Emily had
Please.
their hand up next.
Excellent. Please.
Hi. What about wasps? They're less friendly. Things like yellow jackets and
So thank you for saying wasp and yellow jackets in the same breath, because people always see a yellow jacket and they say a bee, and it's not a bee, it's a wasp. So wasps are carnivores, right? They steal, meaning they eat other bugs and things. So they sting because they can sting again and again. So it's a different category. But everyone has a job to do. All these living creatures have a job. And I have to say, it's the human's fault for getting in the way of their need for food and space. So maybe we should just get out of the way. Barry.
Hey, so actually, my girlfriend and I have been wanting to keep bees and raise chickens forever now. So this is more of just a logistical question on it. How much land would you recommend for that kind of an endeavor?
Well, first of all, where do you live?
I live up in New Hampshire, but I'd be looking to stay like in the New England area in
Yeah,
general.
so my farm is in New Hampshire. Um, so you know, there are rooftops that have hives. You don't need a lot of space to have a beehive. You just need to know that there's going to be food around them. The most important thing, if you get hives, is to check in with your neighbors because not everybody is so receptive to having bees because they haven't had the spiritual practice of really watching and wondering and appreciating. They're going to act on fear. So sometimes it's just about keeping away from the neighbors. The chickens need a little more space, but they're really cute and cuddly and fun. Highly
Thank
recommend.
you.
Um,
I think
Judith?
Rabbi Jacobson was next and then Judith.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I want to say thank you, especially and thank you, Emma, because I do have to run to the other session in a minute. But I want to say two things. One, I love this session. I love how I feel like my whole body has been slowed down. I feel strangely more awake after being tired for most of today. Um, Someday I will have bees when my children aren't small, and I will come to you and you'll give me your wisdom, and I look forward to that. Someday I will live in a place where I'm allowed to have chickens. But what I do have is a backyard garden, and I started growing vegetables in particular when we were having trouble conceiving, and it was a way to make things grow when we were struggling to have a kid, and it's become a very passionate project of mine. And I feel many of the same things that you feel about noticing and watching and going out and noticing minute changes and buds opening. And but one of the things I struggle with is the animals who also like to eat all of the food I'm trying to grow. And I recently built a new fence, and there's some mysterious animal that is getting in and out, and I don't know how,
But
and is eating. And I feel a lot of anger, and I'm
yes,
trying to manage that anger because they're just an animal doing what they want to do. But also, when they eat my seedlings, then the plant will not grow. So I keep
yes.
continuing to try and continuing to plant and continuing to try to keep them where they can be and provide food elsewhere for them that's not inside of the garden bed. But I'm also trying to manage these feelings of anger and frustration with these creatures. And I'm trying to become a bigger person and to accept them for who they are. But it's interesting because I think as much as I want to be friends with the nature of my yard, I find all of these instincts to control, and and that's the
Well,
lesson of the garden is that we're actually not in control.
we're not in control. Two, I'm sure it's bunnies, because there's a lot of bunnies where you are, probably. The other thing I would do is maybe get raised beds.
No, I have raised beds,
And
and
they get into the raised beds?
the bunnies are easier to deal with. It's the groundhogs. I think they're climbing a tall fence I put up. They're tricky, the groundhogs, but
So we can talk offline, but I would get a have a heart. Have you tried a have a heart trap?
no.
Okay, have a heart trap. You put peanut butter in it. It traps them, and then you carry the trap to the woods far away. It doesn't hurt them at all, and they get peanut butter out of it. But that's how we sometimes have to deal with raccoons and skunks.
Mm,
Have a heart trap. You can look it up.
okay,
Yes,
that's
I
right.
mean, it's not, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Everyone wants to eat. And having chickens, Barry, just thinking of you're saying you want chickens, having chickens, every animal loves chicken,
Hmm.
including chickens. So chickens are really sought after by the entire animal kingdom.
There's so much heartbreak.
I didn't even consider that. Thank you.
Yes. So there is heartbreak. Yes. Yeah. All the emotions. Wait, there was another question. Judith.
Yes, I'll be fast. First, I want to say years ago, I gave up eating red meat and mammals and lambs and everything in the mammal animal kingdom, but I allowed myself fish and chicken. And now, after your talk, I may not be able to eat chicken anymore either. So I have to think about that one, that they have so much personality, because I just never thought that they did really. So that is fascinating to me. And that's number one. Number two, my daughter is actually totally enthralled with bees. She's a rabbi in Los Angeles. And I'm wondering, is there, to be able to contact you, she may want to talk to you about maybe doing some kind of a virtual program with her congregation or something. I think it's fascinating and I think would be appealing to people I know here. So I just,
Sure,
at the end, maybe you can
sure.
give us some contact information or something.
Yes, you can get all my information. What, are you a member of TI?
No, I actually am in Los Angeles.
Okay,
And
so, yeah,
Would you
I
like me
don't
to
know.
put your email in the chat?
Yeah,
that would be
Okay,
great.
I can
great.
put it, let me put it, I can put it in the chat.
I think it'd be, I know what Steve, I know there's some Los Angeles, Stephen S. Weiss, there's a few congregations from LA on this. And it may be something that people
Okay,
might want to, it's nice. Yeah.
I'm putting my email in the chat. So my email address is Suzanne A. Offit. Make sure you put the A in there. My mother-in-law's name is Suzanne Offit. She
Okay.
doesn't know a lot about bees. Suzanne
Okay.
A. Offit at Gmail. So,
Perfect.
Jennifer, I think, was next, and then Barbara.
great. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, I actually think Barbara was next.
I'm so sorry.
Hi,
That's okay.
Barbara.
I'll let Barbara go first.
Hi, Barbara.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay. I was actually writing in the chat, so I couldn't do both. This is fabulous. I mean, I know Suzanne from one of the groups that she runs. And when I saw your name in the brochure, because I've done this for 3 years, I think already. And I said, I have to go. My whole day I had to come to this because I just to see what it would be. I can't say that I was a champion of bees to this point. I knew that you raised bees, but to see the pictures and to see the love that you bring, I could only relate to my puppies the same way.
Right.
And
Barbara,
that's it.
what's behind you?
Oh, it's my rhododendrons.
No,
rhododendrons.
bees love hydrangeas.
Rhododendrons.
No bees, no hydrangeas. Bees love hydrangeas.
I have hydrangeas too. They're not out yet, and they may not come out this year because of the cold and whatever. It's freezing.
Well,
here.
they'll come. They'll come. Ours are coming.
But the rhododendrons are there.
So
anyway,
nice to see you, Barbara. Thank
it's
you.
so great. And I was going to just say my tomato plants. I put them on the patio in pots so that the animals can't get them. But I love them too. I talk to them. How you guys doing today? You smell so good? All of it. So I really get it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Barbara. Was there another question, Jennifer?
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Yes, I just want to thank you so much, Suzanne, for your respect, Rabbi, I should say, for your respect for the bees and just your appreciation and honoring. And I want to ask your advice since you are this way, and I am definitely still scared of bees. I am not allergic, and I've only been stung a few times in my life, and none of them were horrible stings, only really once as an adult. But I still have so much fear. We have this I live in a townhouse where I live in the Baltimore, Maryland, like in a suburb. But you would think if you saw my backyard that I am in the middle of nowhere. I'm so lucky to be in a townhouse and have the most beautiful backyard with trees. It goes right against a woodsy kind of little forest. And I love to sit out, especially once COVID started. I started sitting outside pretty much every day, unless it was, winter time. And when the summer comes, I love it. And I have a nice shady spot, but I am so scared of bees. And then I run in and I just don't want to be living in the fear of bees.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a phobia issue that there are ways of overcoming phobias. Let me just tell you about a book that I read that I loved. It's called Sting. And this guy, it's crazy. He let all sorts of animals sting him, like fire ants, all kinds of bees and wasps, the entire book. And he rates the pain on some kind of crazy scale that he created, like hot as fire, like walking on burning coals. And maybe if you read the book called Sting or just look at it, it's so entertaining. You'll think, I can't wait to get stung because I want to rate my stings. It's like, because he's so articulate.
Wow,
so
if I
maybe
could be
you
like
look
that.
forward to it. I
And
every spring I think, well, when am I going to get stung? I haven't gotten stung yet this year, and it's kind of disappointing because
Well, I appreciate it. And I don't feel terrified. You know, it's not like I'm worried about it all day. It's just when they appear, I'm like, oh
Okay,
yeah,
here's the
now I
most
gotta go.
important thing. Listen, Jennifer, do not wave your hand. If there's
That I know.
if there's something flying, whatever you do, everyone watch me.
Chill.
Don't do this. That frightens whatever flying insect is near you, and it makes them feel vulnerable, and they'll definitely hurt you. The thing is to just breathe, put your arms down, and just be calm. But because no one wants to be flailed at, that would make all of us feel uncomfortable.
Definitely.
So I will tell you one of my husband's
Thank
favorite
you.
stories. My father died towards the end of COVID. And so we had to have the Shiva outside. And it was just very early spring. And the bees were going crazy. And so a lot of my friends got stung. We had to hand out like Sudafed at Shiva. No food, no babka, just Sudafed. Anyway. Any other questions? You guys are great. I think we're supposed to finish by now anyway. They're going to have the closing 10 minutes with Rabbi Susie Jacobson. And thank you. This is one way to observe 25 hours of learning. So I'm glad to end on such a uplifting note. So thank you for being with me, and go enjoy some bees and sweet things and look up at the sky every day, every day.
Thank you so much. That was a really wonderful note to end